Hello. There is a new biography of John Blanche, the artist whose inimitable, boundlessly imaginative, frankly awe-inspiring artistic vision has driven the development of the Warhammer worlds for the better part of 40 years. And I have been sent a copy to review, which I will be giving away at the end of this video. I'm Jordan, this is Jordan Sorcery, and today I'm reviewing Blanche, The Rise of Grimdark. So, before anything else, as I say, I have been sent this copy to review, which is really cool, but I'm still going to try and stay as objective as possible, which I think might be tough, because before I was sent this copy of the book, I had already ordered the limited edition version the very second it went on sale. I'm very excited about this book, and have been since I heard about it. And the reason for that is that, in many ways to me, John Blanche kind of is Warhammer. He has been so integral to the creation of the feeling, the look of Warhammer, not just as an artist, but definitely as an artist. His art it just permeates so much great Warhammer stuff over the years. But he's also been the art director at Games Workshop. He's hired other artists and mentored them. He's driven the sort of the kind of artistic direction, I guess, of the entire enterprise that is Games Workshop and Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer 40,000 and lots of other games for literally decades. So separating that from this as a book, just as a biography, and trying to sort of sift through that nostalgia and that kind of awesomeness of just, well, there's loads of his art in this book, so therefore the book is good. That's a tough challenge, which I'm going to try and stick with, because I think that this is a great book and I have enjoyed it, so spoilers. And there's lots of really cool stuff in here. Yeah, there's a couple of things I'll mention at the end, but I think overall this is really good, and I'm going to talk about why I feel that way. So I guess my caveat is out of the way, my spoiler is out of the way, so let's just talk about what is this book. Blanche, The Rise of Grimdark is an authorised biography of John Blanche and something of a retrospective of his work. It was written by John Wombat and Ruth Moreira, but with considerable input to the structure, contents, and details from John Blanche and his wife Lin. In fact, the book has been described to me as essentially the work of 4 authors, coming together to give voice to an artist that has typically preferred to speak through his art. I was actually able to have a brief chat with John Wombat, one of the authors of the book, and he talked to me about how involved John Blanche and Lin Blanche were in its creation. And he also shared what I think is a pretty good quote from John Blanche about the intention for this book. I had never before thought about a biography of myself. Then, when John Wombat approached me with the idea, I saw it as a chance to chronicle my life, from birth to maturity, as well as detailing how all the different aspects of my art were influenced by the times I created them in. Also, to be honest, I wanted to do the book out of sheer ego. Now, if I can contradict the mighty John Blanche here for a second, although it may have started out of a bit of ego, this book feels far from a sheer ego trip. It's actually more like an old friend telling you the story of their life in a compelling and interesting way, narrating the things that they've been through, the influences that they've had, and sharing their amazing work. And it just happens that in this case, that amazing work is like awesome John Blanche art. Now, I think the list of contributors who have lined up to share their sacred writings about John Blanche as an influence, as an important and integral part of Warhammer and the development of those worlds, the development of Games Workshop, and also as a friend. I think that because of all of that, all of these fine words from fine people, it's really quite telling how influential he has been to the business and to the people he's worked with. Rick Priestley, Jez Goodwin, Ian Miller, Alan Merritt, Tuomas Pirinen, and many more provide their own sacred writings about Blanche as an artist, as an art director, and as a friend. And there's a lot of love in these words. And Rick Priestley closes his words by saying, "Whilst it has been my privilege to have worked alongside many talented and visionary folks, John stands tall amongst them. It is both fitting and heartening, therefore, that we have this chance to hear a little more of the man behind the legend that is John Blanche." There is so much incredible Blanche art reproduced in the pages of this book that it's almost worth the price alone just to see them all in one place. But more than that, there are commentaries on many pieces from John Blanche himself, which are peppered throughout the book and which elevate things further, offering insights into the meaning, the intention, and the influence behind several pieces of work. This really is a curated collection, almost like walking through a gallery of John Blanche's artwork alongside the man himself as he shares tidbits about his process. John Wombat told me that there were 4 pieces in particular that John Blanche was especially keen to include. These were the Black Templars, his cover to 3rd edition 40k, the cover to Epic 40k, the 40k 2nd edition cover, and his famous piece of the Sisters of Battle. And it's not just pieces of John Blanche's art that make this a special read. There's also photographs of his miniature collection and him living his life with his friends playing games, which is just really nice to see. It really does tell a story of the man behind the work. So that has been something that has really added, I think, to my understanding of John Blanche and his place within Games Workshop and his career. In fact, in recent years, we've seen Sir Ian Livingstone's Dice Men tell the story of the first decade of Games Workshop, and earlier this year, John Stallard and Robin Dews produced Talking Miniatures, which collected interviews with some of the most influential names in workshop history. But though his name was often mentioned, John Blanche's voice was a notable absence in these retellings of that history. I'm very pleased that Grimdark has spoken into that silence, and getting to read some of John's perspective and to see which pieces of art he has chosen to represent that long history has been a delight. Like some of the other books published by Wombat Wargames, including the Kev Adams biography that I'm very keen to check out soon, the Blanche book is actually printed via Amazon, which it's reliable, it's quick, and it's perfectly well bound. It does mean that there's just a couple of things that I would call out though, I guess. One is it's kind of a rubberized or plastic sort of cover. There's a bit of smush on the copy that I received, so it's obviously sort of been damaged in some way in transit. You can't really see on screen, but it's kind of smudged some of that sort of rubberized texture on top of the cover, which is a shame, I think. I'm sure it's just a one-off, but I wanted to call that out. The other thing as well is that it's not a sort of coffee table book. I mean, this is an autobiography, so there's a lot of text in here, but because it's John Blanche, there's also a lot of amazing art. The size of it is not a massive, impressive coffee table book that you can sort of sit and stare at some of that art. It's obviously a much smaller book. You're getting smaller versions of the art. It works perfectly well for the nature of this book, which is, like I say, a biography. You are reading the story and it's annotated with a lot of amazing art, which itself is annotated with insights from John Blanche. So it's not a problem. I just wanted to call out that this is not the sort of statement piece that you might want for John Blanche. It's certainly something I would love to see at some point, a kind of reissue of Ratspike, an updated Ratspike 2, a new art book that was lavish and that you can put out on the coffee table and that it is a statement piece would be amazing. That's not what this is. So I'm just calling that out. It doesn't detract from this as an artifact. I still think this is a fantastic review and sort of overview of John Blanche's life. It's really, really worth reading if you're interested in any of his work. It goes beyond Games Workshop as well. There's lots of other personal pieces in here. So I think it's a huge success in that regard. John Blanche has also mentioned working on another project with Wombat Wargames. I get embarrassed by looking at my own work, it just makes me want to redo them, but I could look at old photos for such a long time. I'm so eager to start drawing my Grimdark family tree, a project for which I'll again be working with John and Ruth, which is a book that, like this, I will be super excited to read. Blanche, The Rise of Grimdark is an essential buy if you are a fan of John Blanche's work, a Games Workshop history nerd, or just a Warhammer fan looking for some nostalgia and insight. there has been a hole on my bookshelf that's been waiting for this book for a very long time. So yeah, in summary, I really, really enjoyed this book. I thought it was fantastic. It's so great to now see some more of John Blanche's perspective on this incredible history that he has had at Games Workshop, and just an incredible history for Games Workshop itself. Such a pivotal period in a sort of company's life that I'm really interested in. So this was great. Seeing so much of John Blanche's art, seeing so much stuff that he has added an extra layer to. He's been able to talk about what influenced it and how his life has drawn him to those different images and why he's created them and the world in which he was creating each of them. That's just something that I think is really special. But I think this book has absolutely captured something really important, to be honest. I think it's great to finally have something that we can sort of point to and say, that is just some of John Blanche's view of his own career in a way that we haven't really been able to do until now. So I'm a big fan. I definitely recommend it. If you want to get your hands on a copy of the book, you can do so via Amazon. I've put a link below, or you can win literally this copy that's in my hands right now. I'm going to be giving this away on January 2nd. All you need to do to qualify for it is subscribe to my channel here on YouTube and leave a comment on this video just telling me what is your favorite or one of your favorite pieces of John Blanche art. It can be absolutely anything, but leave that comment. You've got a week or two to do so, and then on the 2nd of January I'm going to be drawing a name at random, and then I'll get in touch and we can then sort out getting you this copy of Blanche, The Rise of Grimdark, and it's definitely worth it because it's a really good book. So thank you once again, Wombat Wargames, for sending me a copy. Thank you for watching. I'm Jordan, and this is Jordan Sorcery.